Almost exactly 1 year ago, I made 24 Mordor Uruks. I converted them from a box of Isengard Uruk-hai scouts. Then, because it was Christmas at the time, I shelved the footage, ate some turkey, opened some presents, and forgot I'd ever filmed any of this at all. Until a couple of months ago, I bought some of the metal Mordor Uruks, and it all came flooding back to me. So I dug out these shots, dusted them off, and decided to share the process with you all. I hope you enjoy. I think this footage was supposed to be some kind of hobby vlog or something, so if you see my hand gesticulations, just know it's me talking shite earlier on, like this. So, hello everybody, I'm Joe. This is my step 1 of making some Minas Morgul, not Minas Morgul, fuck, I'll do that again. Yeah, shut up, past Joe. I'm Joe from Windrush Wargamers, and here's how I converted some Mordor Uruks from Isengard Uruk-hai scouts. Let's break down the Mordor Uruks themselves. They look pretty, but they're metal, so a bit costly. But even more concerning than that is only 2 of the 5 war gear options are represented. So if you wanted banners, shields, or bows, and you didn't like converting, you're out of luck. I liked the idea of these guys, but I'd never really given them much thought until the Quest of the Ringbearer book was released, and with it, the Cirith Ungol Legendary Legion. This looked really fun to play as you can munch up the enemies with Shelob, but you can't win many battles with just the old girl herself, you need some troops. And I knew if I wanted to field lots of Mordor Uruk-hai, I would want to field them with sword and board as well as with bows, because they have a better shoot value than the smelly orcs. The idea behind using Uruk-hai scouts to convert Mordor Uruk-hai is far from original. I've seen a few projects in various forums, and of course, Generation Shift made a video a few years back which is really good. But why is the Uruk-hai Scouts box so perfect for these conversions? Well, first and foremost, they're Uruks. It's pretty obvious, but that needs to be said. This will mean there's less playing around with the kind of physique of them later on. But what sets the Scouts apart from, say, the Uruk-hai Warriors is that the clothing's a lot more similar. The Warriors are sporting lots of leather, and also those metal greaves. The simplest way of doing this would probably just be painting them slightly differently, and moving on from there, as it comes with shields, but also bows. But with a few techniques, you can make them much more resemble the Mordor Uruks. Firstly, Mordor Uruks have a lot of chainmail underneath the leather. So sculpting that on with some green stuff will be a big help, as visually it lends itself to the Mordor Uruks. Next, the shields are different. The Isengard shields are cast steel, whilst the Mordor shields have more wood on them. I rectified this by simply using some Mordor shields. I didn't have that many of them, so I press molded a few more. If I was going to do this again, I might use the spare swords and shields from the Warg Rider kits, as they're perfect, and chances are you could probably get them on places like eBay. So now, with the sword and shield, you can kind of see the basic silhouette changing from something that looks more like an Isengard scout to more like a Mordor Uruk. I know the bows are slightly different, but I really didn't change many of them. Sometimes you just have to take easy wins when you're making 24 conversions. The two-handed maces I believe are from the Warhammer Fantasy line, although I can't be sure of that because this is getting on a year now, but I think they're from the Skaven and the Flagellants specifically. The banner was press molded from the Morgul Knights kit. The tower looks much more like Cirith Ungol than Minas Morgul anyway, so I think it fit perfectly here. Potentially the biggest difference between the two though is the helmets. The Scouts are sporting a kind of cowl, I guess, but the Mordor Uruks have this kind of bowl helmet on top of them. Obviously the unhelmeted ones I was okay to leave because they're Uruks after all, but I needed a healthy supply of bowl helmets. For this, I dived into my Mordor Bits box, as I think a few helmets in particular are really similar. Lastly, I added some fur pelts over the shoulders of some of them to match this model in particular. This is a pretty simple touch, but it really speaks to the different cultures between the Uruks and is really defining. With the conversions done, and whilst past Joe is slapping a bit of paint on these conversions, I can talk a little bit more about the kind of colour choices. There seems to be a visual difference between the Uruk skin tones in both the films and in the miniature ranges. The Mordor Uruks seem to have a more blue-grey kind of skin tone. But I think the blue-grey might be because of the moonlight, so it's an environmental factor, as opposed to any kind of difference between the two types of Uruks. Either way, it doesn't matter, I've chosen to paint them blue-grey to match the films. The rest is just a simple paint job with kind of worn wood, worn leather, both black and brown types, and some well-worn chainmail. The hair is either a kind of black-grey kind of colour or blonde, kind of like the depictions of Shagrat in the films. And here they are all finished up. What do you think of the conversions? Let me know if this worked well as Mordor Uruks, and let me know if you change anything in the comments below. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, subscribe for more, there's lots more stuff coming out. I've been Joe from Windrush Wargamers. Catch you in the next one, bye bye.